Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome. It's time to call this budget workshop to order. And today being May 14th, 2026. And Mr. Secretary, would you call roll for us?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Chavez,
Not here,
Mr. Almaraz,
not here,
Mr. Overfelt,
I'm here.
Mr. Mesa,
here,
Mrs. Webb,
Present.
Ms. Haynes.
not here.
Sir, I'm also present. You do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Let the record show that we do have a quorum of board members and that this meeting has been duly called in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. We'll have opening ceremonies, first with a moment of silence for personal reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we go into the first item we have on our agenda is item 3, budget workshop, health insurance information. We'll have Amy Childress to present.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This evening, I'm going to give you just kind of a summary of where we are in our renewal process for our health insurance benefits. So this is a diagram of our renewal timeline. So currently, we have already met the first 3 items. The first is the kickoff, which is where our insurance consultants, Brown & Brown, we kind of speak with them and they kind of finalize for 2026 what our needs are for them to go out for market. Then in the pre-renewal process, occurs about 10 months before our renewal time is where they start defining our strategy and they gather and prepare the claims data for them to put their request for proposal together. Then about 8 months before our renewal timeline is when they actually put out and post the medical RFP, which they have already done. And we are currently, on this timeline, we are currently here on the area that says review and decisions. So they have put out the RFP. They have started getting replies back from carriers. I can tell you as of yesterday when I spoke with Lexi, that we have heard back from Aetna and Cigna. They have declined to give us a quote. So we are currently waiting to hear from Blue Cross Blue Shield and United Healthcare. And we should have something by the end of next week so that I can provide you an update at our next budget meeting on the 26th as far as our current year's RFP proposal. This next slide, the next 2 slides is just going to kind of give a recap of our current performance since we have moved over to Blue Cross Blue Shield. So in 2025, the district's contribution per employee for 2025 was $474.49. On plan performance, as you can see here in the column, medical and pharmacy premiums. So these were the premiums. This is the contributions that the district made as well as employees made for the employee packages or family packages that they might have. It was a total of the plan of $8,595,329. Then for the plan, if you look over here in the total paid claims column, the total claims that were actually paid through the plan were $8,660,543. So it was a deficit for the plan of about $65,000 versus the premiums that were paid compared to the claims that were paid out for 2025. The next slide is our current plan for 2026, and this data is as of April. So currently, for the 2026 year, the district, our current contribution, when it was a 9.5% increase from the prior year, our current contribution is $519.57 per employee. So far for 2026, the premiums that have been paid are $3,103,772. And the claims that have been paid on the plan so far are $3,267,315, which is a planned deficit at this time of a little over $163,000. So in considering what we were possibly the type of, we are expecting an increase in our contribution for the budget planning year. If I plan another 10%, just to give you an idea, we have an average of about 1,235 employees that seem to be operating on the program. A 10% increase from our current contribution of $519.57 would increase to about $571.52 per month for the district contribution to the employee. That would have an effect on our budget of about $385,000. So you can kind of see, again, we're expecting at least a minimum of 10%, I would say. I won't have any final figures until the end of next week, but that's kind of where we're headed at this time.
Can we ask questions at this time?
Yes, sir.
So on the family plan, would that increase also? We're anticipating an increase?
Yes, sir. If the base premium would increase, each of the plans would go up. I would assume, yes. I don't know that it will be definitely a 10% for each of the plans that we have. And then also depending on which carrier we receive, what alternate plans they have. But yes, it would be an increase for each of the plan premiums.
Dr. Rios, did you want to mention something?
Yes, I don't want to alarm anyone, but if we look at the year-to-date claims, I absolutely believe that a 10% increase would be a win for the school district. If that's all they charge us, 10% more. If we only had to contribute $335,000 more per year, I would be ecstatic. But based on our claims, again, the summer months is when our employees wait for surgeries because they don't want to miss teaching. The red bar for the month of June and July and August, because the claims come in later, is going to be significantly higher. I just want to caution as we make plans to move forward, and this isn't cost that we can control. This is what the provider is going to charge us. We already had 2 providers denied a quote, and if they denied to give us a quote, it's because it's not a favorable market for them. That's just a cost that either A, we have to prepare for and figure out where else we cut in our budget, or B, some of the costs have to be passed on to the employees. Now, the district has, at least in my history of the district, we've never passed on insurance costs to the employees. We've cut wherever we had to, and that's been the directive of the board for at least the last 14 years. But the insurance carrier is going to charge us well above a 10% increase. I hope a different vendor comes in and quotes other than Blue Cross Blue Shield so that there could be some competition, but it's very difficult.
So I know that as a former employee, every time we got a raise, it went for insurance. So that has been the trend. Pretty much every year, insurance goes up. The only thing, I'm leaving the board, but I think 2 things to consider is, I don't know, I believe the percentage of school districts that provide 100% insurance are few. If I remember correctly, it's somewhere around maybe 45%, 35%. Do you know, Dr. Rios?
I don't recall, Mr. Mesa, but I want to say that it was somewhere between 10 and 20% that provide, even,
100%?
yeah,
of the
that provide 100%. Even here in Del Rio, other municipalities, business works, they don't provide 100% for employees. They charge something that does make a difference.
All right. It's a great French benefit that we have, but at some point, this board is going to have to consider maybe two things. One, a contribution by the employee, or, we have the optional homestead exemption, which the state has come in and lowered or increased the homestead exemption from 100,000 to 140,000. So some things to think about, not today, but at some point, it does take a big chunk of money to be able to pay for all of the insurance. And I know it's a great thing to have, but this happens everywhere because even with TASB, they provide insurance for us. I belong to the employee benefits, and so I'm aware of all the costs going up year by year. So just some thought to think about for the coming years. Dr. Rios?
Did Brown and Brown indicate why the other vendors refused to provide a quote?
She did not. I can ask, but pretty much like you stated, I believe looking at our claim history, it was just not going to be beneficial for them. But I can.
I just know that over the past, Mr. Mesa, board members, over the past 13 years, it's the months of June, July, and August where most employees choose to have their surgeries, and God bless them for waiting for the summer months when they're not going to miss teaching. But that's really when our bigger claims come in. So,
Anyone else? No. Josh?
No, I mean, it's, like I said, we're waiting on the info to come back, and it is, there's certain things that are certain in life. It's always been death and taxes, and rises in insurance is the other one there. But as Mr. Mess said, yeah, it's we have been fortunate to go in and be able to provide that, what we call the free option or the 100% option to the employee. And that's been a plus. I have sisters that work for the San Antonio districts over there, and they pay into theirs. So we are lucky in those regards. And it like you said, it is not it's going to go up. Insurance never goes down. And there, I just got the renewal notice on my home insurance, so that's going up too. So, but yes, it's something that we're cognizant of, and we'll do everything within our power to make it palatable to the employees. And they're just, again, still try and offer that as long as financially able to go in and do.
That's so correct. Just want to mention something else in regard to insurance, and that's we try not to inconvenience the employees by changing the carriers, and so I hope we continue with Blue Cross, because I think all of us know the ones that have been here for years. It's every time we change, it's so inconvenient for them to be able to change to another provider, and then sometimes they don't sign up with that insurance, and we just want to make it as calm and peaceful as we can for the employees, even though there's an increase every year. It just so happens that we think of a raise, and part of it goes for the cost of insurance, and that's the way it's been for years. But with that being said, we'll let you continue, unless there's a question from somebody else. We're good.
That's all that I have. So thank you, and I'll update you as soon as I know any additional information.
Thank you. Go on to our next item, and next item is item B, Facilities and Operations. Mr. Chapa.
Good evening, Board President Mesa, Dr. Cruz, members of the board. Before I start on the presentation, there were some updates, recent updates this afternoon, and I know you have a printout that's been updated on your dais. We'll start with the sustainability, the HVAC portion of it.
I'm sorry, Chava, just before we begin, to remind the board, the amount that Mr. Chapa is going to share with you at the end to cover everything, just a reminder that in the past, we have funded some of these needs either through just operation money, and some particularly when it comes to the AC units through fund balance. So it's not, the amount is big, but just know we don't have to fund everything, and then not all of it has to come out of operations. Some of it can come out of fund balance.
So the current year, we were allotted $335,000. Up to the present time, we've spent a little bit, about $270,000. A difference of $65,000 that's still in balance or in the budget available if the need arises. Unfortunately, the needs didn't play out as we needed. As an example, we had earmarked $50,000 for high school. We spend close to $120,000 there. So other campuses, we moved monies rather from the other campuses to supplement the particular needs at the time. But overall, as I mentioned, $270,000 out of the $335,000 have been spent. Going forward to the next year, we're looking at requesting at $580,000 for, again, the high school. Now we're going to be including the middle school, $100,000, and Chavira, $30,000. Garfield still remains a campus that's basically a little bit over 20 years old, or approximately 20 years old, which has exceeded the life expectancy a lot of the units. And one unit alone, it's approximately $120,000, $130,000. And Lamar Elementary also, about $100,000. So for this coming year, we're requesting $580,000. I do like to remind the board that a lot of these numbers come from a report that Schneider Electric did for us about a year or 2 years ago that provided us the life expectancy of the equipment, the existing equipment, and made recommendations as a timeline when to change. Moving forward to the next tab, fire alarms. This is a new request. We're requesting approximately $130,000 for the campuses listed in the presentation, which is the high school, freshman, middle school, Cardwell, Lamar, and Lonnie Green. This school year, we experienced an issue at Chavira Elementary that was detrimental to the fire alarm itself. The panel was malfunctioning. We had to implement Fire Watch for several days, and Century Security went in and replaced the panel, but it took them several days to do it. And of course, it affected campus operations because of the Fire Watch. So we're trying to be proactive and start looking at having funds for those possible emergencies. And we're looking at approximately $100,000 for the following year, and another $100,000 and $80,000 and so forth, spread out over several years to address possible issues. One campus that we're not looking at hopefully having issues is Calderon Elementary, because a couple of years ago, the district invested over $200,000 for a whole new system there that was antiquated, and it was replaced. So this is just in case there's emergencies that pop up, we'll have the funds available for those.
Questions from board members?
My only question, sir, is how do we stand with the fire alarms right now? I know you're looking into the future,
Mhm.
but where are we right now?
Dr. Rios?
Ms. Webb, the fire alarms all work just fine, but what we found out was that sensors throughout the building had given way, and they have to be replaced. And we have to replace for so many years, so often, because they're going to give out. They don't go on forever. And in a lot of these campuses that he's mentioned, we know that we have to replace sensors throughout to keep a safe building. But that's the plan for replacing sensors and just preventive maintenance equipment there. It could turn out that instead of them being at Cardwell, it may be the ones at Chavira that give out, and we have to replace those. Now, if none of them give out and we're just providing replacements so that they don't give out, that's the order that we would take.
Okay.
But we do know that sensors is a big issue, and in working with Century, we said we're going to come up with a plan to be able to maintain it so that we don't get to a point where we can't detect other errors, and then we end up with a $200,000 bill instead of spending enough money in preventive maintenance year to year.
No, I think it's a good idea that we keep track of where we are and which ones we need to replace and keep an eye on it.
Mr. Chapa, thank you, Mr. Webb. Another question, because I don't know where it's going to fall here, but sustainability in regard to the elevator at the middle school?
Yes,
Where
sir.
Is that somewhere in the categories here?
It's not in the categories, it's part of the operational funds of the department. We do have a maintenance plan with a current vendor, and they are supposed to come in and quarterly do inspections and maintenance on the elevators. Unfortunately, right now, the elevator, from my understanding, is that emergency key that opens the doors. It's basically not working correctly, it just spins, and that needs to be replaced. And our maintenance coordinator is working on getting the contractor or the vendor to come in and do those replacements.
So, Dr. Rios, I know that we've had 2 incidents where students get stuck there.
Yep.
And so, what, is there any replacement or anything that, I know you're talking about the box, that the key's not functioning.
We have 2 elevators at Del Rio Middle School. We have one that's closest to the gyms and then one that's right in the main entrance. The first incident involved a custodian that was stuck in the elevator. And then a couple days later, the second elevator, we had I believe it was a student. Mr. Serra reached out to the company, and they came in and they, as part of the preventive and corrective maintenance agreement, they did fix them. Now, unfortunately, the one they fixed, or actually they fixed both of them, but one of them had another issue, another incident just recently. So they've been contacted and they come back, but we have money within the budget for that routine maintenance on them. We just have to insist that they come back and they respond quicker. The fixing of the cylinder, that's not what's causing the elevator to get stuck. That's what's preventing us from opening the elevator once it gets stuck. They have to come in and reassess it, and then they'll tell us what larger replacements have to happen so that they don't continue to break down. That's what we don't have an idea of. Now, when they come back, if it's outside of our budget, then we would have to ask for additional funds. But in the past, they have fixed big components, and they have been within our budget. So we'll know more in, where's Paul? Sir, did they give you an idea when they would come?
Yes, they're going to put it as a priority number 1, hopefully tomorrow or the day after.
We'll have a better idea, and when we come back to do the second presentation, if there's something big, we'll definitely include it.
So are they out of San Antonio? Okay. Okay. Just so we can address that, because I know that lately we've had 2 incidents. Okay.
Okay. Moving on to fencing. I know in the previous year, we did San Felipe Memorial Middle School, and a portion of the funds that were earmarked for San Felipe Memorial Middle School were used here at Garfield to do the front and sides. So what we're looking for this coming year is approximately $450,000 that would be earmarked for Blended Academy as well as Buena Vista Elementary. Same ornamental fences to match the rest of the district.
Mr. Galindo?
Mr. Chapa, just a quick question. How do we come to the consensus for early college high school to be till 29 or 30, but there's no fencing at all? So that's
Yes.
why, thinking of that as a concern, how does that get moved 3 years back and maybe not earlier?
Well, it's a living document. We're just placing funds, for future use. Obviously, that can be moved up to more recent years also.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go on.
Okay. Going on to athletics, we're requesting $90,000 for just upkeep or maintenance, routine maintenance for the sanding of the floors and repainting both gyms at the high school as well as the middle school gym.
Question.
Campus furniture. we
Question
have-
from Mr. Overfeld.
So in the original, Mr. Chapa, that we had got, we had the gym floor being completely redone and replaced at San Felipe Memorial, but now it's missing from the updated one that we're giving. I think that gym floor is it's older than I am, because I think it's the same gym floor when I was a 6th grader there. And that was part of the conversation when we were talking bond, that regardless of what happened with the bond, that floor was going to be replaced this summer because it's got pieces missing and stuff like that. So if that amount of money on the original one, the 180, where was that being reallocated to? If we were not going to use it there, or not suggesting we're going to use it there.
Mr. Overfeld, that's why we had to make corrections. The board has already approved the repair of those floors, and beginning on June 1, the entire floor at San Felipe Memorial Middle School will be replaced, not just painted or sanded, entirely removed and replaced. If you will recall, we had TASB come in and do an asbestos study. They cleared us, there's no asbestos. Therefore, we can proceed with replacing the gym floor, and they've contracted, they're scheduled, they're going to be here June 1st. We've also asked, or will be asking the board on Monday, to replace the basketball goals, because they're also there probably since the beginning of when the gym was established. And Mr. Smith, Tyler Smith, is working with Dynamic Pro to replace the electrical wiring so that there's enough power to bring the rims, the hoops, up and down and to the side. So we are going to finish the entire makeover of the gym, with the exception of paint, but our people can do that if time permits.
Do we have a working scoreboard in there, or is that scoreboard pretty old too? I can't recall.
It's old, but it works.
It works? Okay. I wonder if there's a bank that would like to sponsor or a business that would like to sponsor a scoreboard.
Possibly.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Campus furniture, we didn't spend any money on campus furniture, so we're just sliding it over for an additional year for next year. For
I'm
the
sorry,
same-
it wasn't allocated. It's not that we didn't spend it. It
I'm sorry.
wasn't-
Sorry
yeah,
about that.
It wasn't allocated.
Okay.
Okay.
Asphalt, we're not requesting any pavement for this upcoming year. Interior painting, we're requesting $210,000. Exterior painting, we're requesting $115,000. And it's for Garfield and Lamar Elementaries, the interior painting. I'm sorry, the interior painting, and the exterior painting would be Buena Vista and Lamar Elementary. Under technology refresh, Mr. Salinas requested $500,000 for classroom teacher workstations. The $15,000 for MDF, IDF, HVAC replacements, we've been replacing with mini split systems where the need arises. And the $60,000 is the required amount for the E-rate funding that we participate in. This year, the current year, the board was generous enough to provide funding for a vehicle replacement for maintenance, police department, and I believe the warehouse. We're requesting another $150,000 to replace some vehicles with for the maintenance. One would be a bucket truck that would allow our maintenance department to do, include our electrical department, to do light bulb replacement on street lights or parking lot lights and reach overhead as we need to. The current vehicle is from 1992 and it has 180,000 miles, and it's basically parked because there's hydraulic system issues with the bucket and motor issues with the actual motor. So, and there's two half-ton pickups they would like to replace. One is a 1997 with 166,000 miles, and the other one's a 1998 with 180,000 miles. Both are seen better days. Technology is also requesting $50,000 for vehicles.
Mr. Mesa, may I ask a
Yes.
question on this?
Mr. Galindo?
What about the mail delivery vehicles that are pretty rough shape, like the van, and I know they're using the older car? Would we be able to get an idea of what it would cost to get a vehicle for that?
Dr. Reyes?
Mr. Mesa, if memory, is Sandra here?
No.
Memory serves you, Amy would know. Amy, help me refresh my memory. Did we not provide a vehicle for the mail delivery room this past budget season? Okay, and really, the other one they have is beaten up, but, so it is a possibility. We just have to rotate the allocation
Yeah,
of money.
just a thought in
Yes,
the
sir.
mind whether in the future, because I mean, I've seen the two vehicles and those are the ones that I usually see as well, and they're rough.
Thank you, Mr. Galindo. Mr. Chapa, can you elaborate on technology? What kind of vehicle are we looking for? Or do you know, Dr. Reyes?
I'm not
Dr.
sure.
Reyes?
Mr. Salinas is at our graduation.
Okay,
They don't have a specific vehicle in mind, Mr. Mesa. They just need two additional vehicles. So the 50,000 that you're looking there would buy two vehicles. They always buy used vehicles. They find vehicles that have been rentals, and then they do tend to have a lot of miles on them, but because they're rentals, they're well kept, the interior is well kept, but they would buy two vehicles at 25,000 apiece, two trucks.
So they wouldn't be bucket vehicles or anything like that?
No,
would
sir.
they?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Salinas also requested some funding to be split with the next year and the following year of $75,000 apiece per year for communication equipment. That equipment would be basically radios and, let's see, for the police department, campus administrators, and the transportation department, walkie-talkies, two-way communication like that. Because, and also I believe it might be for some antennas to be placed around the district for those walkie-talkies or radios.
Repeaters.
These are more the analog ones, right? That's what I'm gathering. They would be the analog ones.
I'm not sure if they're analog or
Yes, sir.
digital.
There would be the other ones, the digital
Yeah,
are
that's
by
what I was
far
about to
too
say.
expensive.
So Dr. Rio, this wouldn't come out of the safety allotment?
No, sir. Our safety allotment, it's pretty much committed. I think the little bit amount of money that we have, Amy, we said we were going to dedicate it to the fences, and we're using some to replace a fence at the high school this summer. But there is no more safety allotment from the grant money that we got. It's all committed. Moving forward, the safety money that the state does provide is within the budget, and that's what we're using to fund the police officer at every campus, the security guards, that sort of stuff. Moving forward, most of our security purchases will come from grants that we apply for. For example, Chief Foz, I believe he's out in front, him and our federal programs budget person applied for a grant. Can you remind me the amount, Amy? I don't want to exaggerate it. I think it was about 100.
The Edward Burn.
Yes, sir. To buy equipment for our police officers. And in that grant, we were rated number 1, and we're expected to get body-worn cameras for all our police officers. Moving forward, we just have to keep applying for grants, every grant that's available. We don't get every grant, but if we apply for every grant, we get 1 in 4, 1 in 5 grants, and we're able to improve what we provide.
I realize the amounts are small, so therefore, I mean, I can see the walkie-talkies, when they go out of town, whatever. They're not the really service equipment that they use for administration and to make sure that communication is, for all law enforcement and administrative personnel on campuses. Yeah, Mrs. Webb?
Yes, the radios are going to be in addition to or to replace some of what we already have?
I believe it's to replace.
That's replacement, ma'am.
Just a replacement?
Yes.
So have we thought about additional radios? Especially like when our buses are out on UIL competitions or what have you, that they have that extra communication? I don't know.
We'll definitely have Mr. Salinas update us and see if there's anything that is missing for us to have a complete communication system.
Thank you.
Okay.
That concludes the sustainability presentation.
Can you go to the summary page, Mr. Mesa, so that's 2.7? Am
Yes,
I
sir.
seeing it correctly?
Yes, sir.
$2.7 million. Again, not everything's going to be possible, but when we find out exactly how much our insurance is going to be and what type of raise the board wants to give, we can start the selection process.
Okay, so all this will be in the interactive workbook.
Yes.
Okay. Question from
Just a
Mr.
follow-up. And you already mentioned, I just want to clarify for myself, the safety and security allotment, what we have left will be used this summer, so the proposed for the fencing is what we're going to have to bud, there won't be any left over for that, right? That's what you were saying?
Correct.
Okay. And then I just want to make sure that, because I know it falls between us and SFE, there's nothing listed for food service equipment, anything like that. I just want to make sure that they're not requesting anything out of there, or we want to make sure everything we've got in the different campuses is good, and we don't have to do an amendment adjustment later.
Two things, Mr. Overfield. One, I'm going to say 90% to 95% of all the food service equipment, Mr. Paul's agreeing with me, has all been replaced. All of it, the second part is all of it gets replaced through the program's money. And right now, Ms. Haynes, I think we have enough in surplus in the food service money, which can only be spent in food service to continue to replace every equipment. So that is one department that is fully covered.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That's it. Thank you so much.
I'm going to go down there and make a
Okay.
presentation. Mr. Bessa, members of the board, the reason we're bringing proposed construction is because during the school year, we talked about the possibility of maintenance tax notes to build some of the infrastructure that we cannot build through our regular budget. It's important that it be part of the budget process, because if the board chooses to go in that direction, it will become part of our operating budget, because the payment for these tax notes will not come from the interest and sinking fund, from the INS tax rate. It'll have to come from our operating budget. That's why we're discussing it, and that'll be one of the items that you get to check off yes or no on the interactive workbook. Okay. Currently, in our maintenance and operation in excess fund balance, we have approximately $8 million. We have 31 million, but 23 million is required to have for 75 operating fund balance. That leaves $8 million. Okay. Another option to add to the $8 million is to borrow in maintenance tax notes. We can borrow 5 million, 7 million, and 10 million. And these are just options. Obviously, the board can borrow any amount in between, but for budgeting purposes, these are the amounts that we have data on. This data was provided by Mr. David Gonzalez, your financial advisor. If we were to borrow 5 million, we would have an annual note of 370,000. For 7 million, 518,000, and for 10 million, $740,000 annual payment on it. So then our options, if we couple the 8 million in fund balance with the amount that we can borrow, you would have 13 million, 15 million, or $18 million to allocate for projects that otherwise could not be completed. And in reviewing the district's needs, these are some of the projects that the board would could choose to do. Whatever projects the board doesn't choose to do, if you choose to do any of these, they could go possibly into the next bond election. Okay. The first one is a road connecting Wildcat Drive to Main Street. The importance of this road is about threefold. First, the traffic congestion on Memorial Drive is excessive. There's just a whole lot of traffic congestion there. Second, we need a second egress route for the high school. If we had to vacate it, it would be very difficult to vacate because it's only Memorial Drive and the side roads is just difficult. There's no proximity. So building this road in the back, let me see if it can show on the, I don't think you can see on the mouse, but from Wildcat to Memorial, it definitely provides another evacuation system. So first, the congestion on Main Street, the second evacuation, and then third is that if we were to develop the fields in the back to use for our athletic fields, we definitely need the storm drainage system. When it rains, the girls' softball field becomes completely flooded, and then Coach McRae takes money out of his budget every year to have the field redone again. Therefore, it's inconceivable to build any fields back there without the storm drainage because it would be a bad investment. This road will cost $4.2 million, and we're talking about additional parking, the road connecting, the flood drainage system, the drop-off and pickup area for the students. That's at about the center of the picture there. So that is an expensive take, but it is one that we're eventually going to have to do. Okay? The next project, and really it would have to be a project prior to that, would be create another water loop. You can't lay asphalt and then later try to come in and do a water loop. Right now, that bright green on the left-hand side is the only place that we get water for the entire school. Should there be an emergency, we would not have water if something was to happen to that line. So having an alternate water loop would be important. But again, we would have to do the water loop before we did a road, and that's $800,000. The Buena Vista cafeteria expansion, Buena Vista continues to have the smallest kitchen, and I'm pretty certain it's the smallest dining room in the whole district, and it's as old as the school is. There were minor repairs done to the cafeteria years ago, but that cafeteria needs to be replaced. And replacing that cafeteria, we expect it to be approximately $2 million. Okay? That's just the cafeteria and the expansion of the dining room. Okay? Bobby Varela Elementary continues to be a project that we apply for grants. Currently, we're applying for another grant from the federal government, but we have not been successful, and we've applied 3 times. This will be the fourth time that we apply. Okay? That one is $7 million. A Del Rio High School baseball field, all turf baseball field. Coach McRae is not here, so I don't want to quote him, but the amount of money that we spend in maintaining the field at Roosevelt Park is significant. In the past, when we, at Del Rio High School and at Del Rio Middle School, when we went to turf, the maintenance, not only was the maintenance never an issue, but so were ants and mud and all that stuff. So it's definitely a good investment besides having one in the proximity of the school. So to build a baseball field, which would be built right behind the stadium where the new road would go, all in, bleachers, turf, fencing, lighting, $3 million. The girls' softball field, it doesn't have, it's a good field, except when it floods. It has lights already. It's graded. It's smaller. It would only cost about $1.5 million to do that. Again, we can't invest any more money in it until we fix a road and the drainage system there. In summary, if we were to do the water loop, the road, cafeteria expansion, the brick and mortar at RBB, baseball and softball field, we're talking about $18,550,000. obviously, there's not enough money in fund balance, and based on how much we have to pay for increased costs such as insurance or increased races, there might not even be any money to pay for a loan. Therefore, the only money we would have would be $8 million. And then we would really have to pick and choose which of these projects, if any, the board wanted to do. Okay? But these are projects that we've outlined that we could possibly manage ourselves without having to go out with a big management company. But again, the board will have to decide if there is an opportunity or create an opportunity to do any of these. Are there any questions on any of these projects and the funding mechanisms for them?
Questions? No?
No.
Well, okay.
No, not necessarily a question. I think, I mean, you've stated it. Once we see what insurance and raise, I think those are the top two priorities, and then this would be later, or would be further down the list. I'm pretty sure the 7 would agree to that, being the insurance and the pay raises.
Sure.
And then,
I don't want to create a panic system because we don't know what finances the state is going to provide. We also have to contend with increased energy costs. And Ms. Childress and Mr. Sanchez will provide a budget, or not a budget, a prediction of how much that would cost. But we can also expect for the energy costs, whether it be electricity or fuel, to also take a significant increase this year. I only mention that because if there's no additional money from the state, then it always comes down to what we cut or what we do less of. In the past, the board has chosen to use some of the fund balance, but we've also gotten to a situation in the past 13 years where because of increased costs and limited funding from the state, our excess fund balance has also decreased. If you remember, there was a time where we weren't at zero, but we definitely weren't where we are right now. Okay, so just a thought.
Dr. Rios, I just want to ask, were there any changes from the original packet that we got from the one that we have here in front of us,
As far as for the
numbers?
for these numbers, I don't believe there were. Mr. Chapa, was there any modifications done to this presentation? Yeah, we added the summary slide at the end, Mr. Mesa, that was it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else? We're good? Mr. Galindo?
On the water loop, Dr. Rios, just for the clarification, it's also understood that we only have one line that goes to ECHS and to Del Rio High School. So if something was to happen on Cantu and that water line cut off, we'd lose water to basically all our secondary area there on Memorial, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so by adding this water loop, it would add, looks like an additional 1, 2, 3 different areas to get sources of water from?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ms. Webb?
I just want to say thank you, Dr. Rios, for presenting this, because you're correct with the girls softball field, whenever it rains, they can't move their vehicles.
Yeah.
There's puddles out there. So there's a lot of things that we do need to look at. So I thank you for bringing that to our attention as well and including it in here so we can at least have a look at it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Webb. I want to mention one more thing, and that's I'm glad the district presented at the winter governance in Galveston because there were a lot of positive comments from TASB at our meeting that so many people were interested because they don't have that option of choosing different things. They don't have the interactive worksheet that we're allowed to have from administration and make our decisions there. But I think it helps for us to, learn together, work together, and celebrate our successes together because at the end, it takes all seven to be able to balance the budget and do the things that are priorities for us. So thank you for presenting at the governor's camp. And thank you for allowing everybody to have a decision to what the priorities will be for next year.
Yes, sir.
And with that being said, we don't have anything else on the agenda.
We have one more thing, Mr. Mayor.
One more thing?
Bond.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yes, sir.
We have proposed bond election projects. Dr. Rios?
Yeah, there's another reason, Mr. Mesa, why we're bringing a proposed bond project. If we had a bond project, it would occur a year from now. But there's definitely work that would have to do to prepare for that bond. One of the items would be consideration for any of the maintenance and operation projects that may not be funded through maintenance and operation if the board chooses to not go in that direction. And then some of those projects would come to the bond. And it just takes time to have that selection, make those decisions, get the appropriate quotes, and then hire the people that we need to hire to help us. The bond projects, just a reminder, and all of these are projects from the previous bond election that was not successful in November. This bond election would happen in May. There would be no other candidates, city, hospital, or school on the ballot. It would simply be a bond election for the school district. We have to do the entire remodel at Buena Vista, $5 million, and that's all the classrooms and the hallways at Buena Vista. It would also include some of the air conditioning, lighting, flooring. The New Tech Academy at San Felipe Memorial Middle School. The second gymnasium at San Felipe Memorial Middle School. And the rebuild of the freshman campus, which according to the committee, the bond committee, was the #1 project, the #1 priority. And that one, the cost, $25 million. Those are the only things that we believe that we wouldn't be able to handle ourselves if the money was available, where it would be better to go through a bigger project, a bigger package, and a bond. Okay. And that, right now, that's $37 million, unless some projects from the maintenance and operation budget would come into the bond. Okay. We'll continue to work with the board. The first thing is to get through the budget and determine how we balance a budget. We still need a lot of information from our partners, particularly from Mo Casey, which will be the next meeting. In the next meeting, we will be able to present to the board an estimated revenue budget. We will have the information on the insurance, if not a decent projection of what it can be, a decent projective of what the energy costs would be, and then y'all will select a type of raise, and then we can move forward. Okay. I do have a question. It's a difficult question, but we just need to prepare. As we get the information, do you want us to include a partial contribution by the employees equal to what the city of Del Rio requires their employees to pay, or is that continues to be off the table and we just continue to do what we've done the last 13 years and provide the options of where the district continues to carry the cost?
I'd like to answer that question, but I'll let the other people interject as well. I'd like to see what the insurance percentage that goes up first before, I would make a decision. I won't be here, but I would like to see what the increase is going to be first. I'll turn it over to Ms. Orfeld.
I think maybe not necessarily just City of Del Rio contribution, but looking at surrounding ISDs there. And it can be used as an informational item or a comparison item for when we're looking at that and justifying still being able to give with the hope of going in and still giving that quote-unquote free option or the district paid option to be able to go in and say, these are districts of our size and what they have to do, and we're able to still do this. I think it would be good for a side-by-side so that people can see that there is a noticeable difference. And as Mr. Mesa mentioned earlier, one of the big fringe benefits of working for San Felipe Del Rio.
Thank you, Mr. Orfeld. Mr. Galindo?
I would just like to leave it off the table as much as possible. And what I mean by that is just the last resort item. I would like to see what comes in. Trying to give a raise and then it kind of gets overcome with that, that's rough. Also understanding, the position that the district is in as well, what we want to move forward and progress with. But, Mayor, Mr. Overfeld says an informational item, but for me, it would be that would be a last resort type effort to put some of that cost onto the employees.
Ms. Webb?
I agree as well. I feel that as long as we, the district, can provide the insurance for our employees, that's a very big benefit to our employees. However, not just a side-by-side between our district and other districts, because I can tell you a lot of districts that the employees pay for their own insurance. So for us, that's an added plus for our employees. However, have a three-way, our district, where it's paid, other districts, and then with the city. Because we also have to look at our employees. They don't work like city, that they come in at 8 and leave at 5. They work many hours with our students. So I would like to see what we can do to give them that option of the insurance being paid. However, if it's not possible, they also see that side by side, give them that flexibility as well.
Yeah, well, like Mr. Mesa said in the past, sometimes the board has chosen to give a 4% raise if the insurance climate is favorable, and then if it isn't, give a 2% raise and a 1% raise, and then cover the insurance. So there are options, but I think that providing the board with all the information and then having y'all decide is probably also important. But so we won't add it as an option, but we'll definitely as an informational item.
Okay,
Appreciate
with
it,
that
sir.
being said, any further questions for Dr. Rios? I just hope, for whatever time is left from my tenure on the board, that perhaps we can separate some of these proposed bond projects so that we can have a favorable result at the end when we go for a bond in May, that some of them could be separated. That's my recommendation.
Sure, just, you mean have a different propositions, one proposition for the freshman campus, one for San Felipe Middle School, one for Buena Vista, and possibly one for any other things that we would add on there?
Yeah.
Okay, understood.
With that being said, I don't have any other items on the agenda. Is there a motion for adjournment? Mr. Galindo, seconded by Mr. Orfeld. All those in favor? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, and good night, everyone.